What if you only had to water your garden once a week, and it still bloomed like Eden? No expensive gadgets, no fancy systems, just simple, time-tested wisdom that makes gardening easier and your plants happier. In this video, you'll discover how to train your garden to thrive with just one deep watering per week, saving time, money, and stress. Perfect for seniors who want beauty without the backache. Like, comment, and subscribe to the Evergreen Seniors, where gardening gets easier with age. Meet Ms. Grace Hensley. She's 77, lives just outside Savannah, Georgia, and her garden looks like something out of a southern fairy tale. All blooms, no burnout. But it wasn't always this way. A few years ago, Grace nearly gave up gardening. Her knees ached. The Georgia sun was relentless, and dragging the hose around every day? Exhausting. I thought I had to choose between keeping my garden alive or keeping myself from falling over, she laughs. Then she got smart. Grace began experimenting. Mulch here, deep soak there, a schedule that worked with her, not against her. Over time, she created a simple weekly routine that gave her more color, more growth, and more peace. Her secret? One deep watering a week. No gadgets, no expensive irrigation, just a rhythm grounded in old-fashioned know-how and a deep love for growing things. Today, Grace tends to her garden once a week, cup of sweet tea in hand, and plenty of time left for her grandkids. She's living proof that you don't need youth or fancy tools, just the right tricks and a little patience. Let's walk through exactly what she does, so your garden can bloom and your body can rest. Here's the secret that changed everything for Grace, and it might just transform your garden too. Water deeply, but less often. Most people think their plants need a little water every day. It sounds logical, right? But here's what actually happens. When you water daily and lightly, the moisture only reaches the top layer of soil. That's where the roots stay, shallow, fragile, and totally dependent on you. One missed day, the plant suffers. Now flip that idea. When you water deeply, about 1 to 1.5 inches, once a week, the water soaks down, encouraging roots to grow deeper. Deeper roots equals stronger plants. Stronger plants equals more drought resistant, less needy, and way more resilient. It's like teaching your plants to take care of themselves. And that's exactly what Ms. Grace did. She doesn't drag out the hose every morning anymore. Instead, once a week, usually early Saturday, she gives her plants a solid drink, soaking the ground slowly and thoroughly. It felt wrong at first, Grace admits. I kept thinking, won't they dry out? But the opposite happened. My flowers were standing taller. The soil stayed moist longer, and I had more time to enjoy life. Here's how you can do it too. Use a slow, deep soak. You want the water to sink at least 6 to 8 inches into the ground. Use a soaker hose, a watering wand on low, or even a 5-gallon bucket with small holes. Measure the depth. Take an empty tuna can, they're about 1 inch tall. Place it in your garden and water until the can fills. That's your 1-inch mark, simple and effective. Mulch helps. A 2 to 3 inch layer of mulch keeps that moisture from evaporating too quickly. Grace uses bark mulch in her flower beds and straw in her veggie patch. Pick the right time. Early morning is best, less evaporation, and your plants start their day well fed. Why does this matter? Because gardening shouldn't feel like a chore. It should bring you joy, peace, and pride, no matter your age or energy level. Just one deep watering a week can make your garden stronger, your routine lighter, and your days more restful. Coming up next, Grace's step-by-step watering setup. You can copy this weekend, no handyman skills required. Mulching, the secret weapon. Now that you understand deep watering, here's Grace's favorite gardening hack to make it last even longer. Mulching. She calls it her lazy gardener's magic carpet. Every corner of Grace's garden is covered in mulch. And not the fancy kind you buy in bags from a big store. Her secret? Old-fashioned, homegrown solutions. Shredded fall leaves, a layer of newspaper, a sprinkle of straw from her neighbor's chicken coop. It's the kind of mulch that carries memories, walking through leaves in October, flipping through the morning paper, tending to animals. For Grace, it's more than just gardening. It's comfort layered into the soil. So why does she swear by it? Because mulch works quietly but powerfully. It locks in moisture. After a deep watering, mulch helps slow down evaporation. This means the soil stays moist longer, especially helpful in hot, dry regions like Grace's Georgia backyard. It keeps the soil cool. Under the summer sun, mulch acts like a natural shade cloth, protecting delicate roots from heat stress. It stops weeds in their tracks. Fewer weeds means less bending, less pulling, and more time sipping sweet tea on the porch. It just looks tidy. Grace loves that even when life gets busy, her garden still looks well-kept and intentional, thanks to that soft, natural covering. "It's like tucking my plants in with a cozy blanket," she says with a smile. And the best part? You don't need to spend a dime. Use what you already have. Dry leaves, grass clippings, just make sure they're not treated with chemicals. Old cardboard boxes torn into strips. Even pine needles, if that's what your yard gives you. Mulch doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to cover the ground. Grace's simple mulching steps. Water deeply first. Always mulch after watering to trap moisture where it belongs, down in the soil. Lay mulch about 2 to 3 inches thick. Thin enough to breathe, thick enough to block sun and weeds. Keep mulch a few inches away from plant stems. You don't want to smother your plants or invite rot. Refresh once a season. Mulch breaks down over time, adding nutrients back into the soil, another hidden benefit. Whether you're using hay from the barn, paper from the kitchen, or leaves from last fall, mulch is the quiet hero of every thriving, low-maintenance garden. It's simple, it's gentle, and it saves time, energy, and water, so you can focus on the joy of watching things grow. Now we want to hear from you. What do you mulch with? Drop your favorite mulch mix or a childhood memory of gardening in the comments. Grace might even try your trick next. Smart plant choices for weekly watering. Let's talk about the quiet genius behind Grace's thriving, low-stress garden, smart plant choices. Because it's not just how you water, it's what you're watering that makes the difference. After years of trial and error, and a few withered petunias, Grace finally discovered the golden rule of easier gardening. Choose plants that love the rhythm you can live with. That's why every corner of her backyard is filled with varieties that actually like a deep drink. Once a week and don't complain if she skips a day or two. Grace's favorite water-wise garden all-stars. Herbs. Thyme. Hardy, fragrant, and perfect for soups or stews. Sage. Silvery leaves and soothing scent. Loves hot, dry soil. Rosemary. Woody, beautiful, and practically drought-proof. Just trim and smell. Veggies. Peppers. Once established, they thrive on weekly watering and summer heat. Okra. Born for the southern sun. Fast-growing and forgiving. Eggplant. Another strong performer that doesn't fuss over frequent watering. Flowers. Zinnias. Bright, bold, and blooming with very little water. Marigolds. Cheerful, pest repellent, and tough as nails. Lavender. Soft purple hues and calming fragrance. Loves dry feet and sunny spots. Grace planted these not just because they're pretty or useful, but because they work with her lifestyle. No babysitting, no begging, just dependable beauty and harvest, week after week. It's like picking friends who don't mind a little space, she chuckles. Bonus tip, group your plants by water needs. One of the smartest things Grace did was reorganize her beds so that the thirsty ones live together, and the drought lovers stick to their own corner. Why? Because it makes watering a breeze. No overwatering rosemary just because the lettuce is nearby. No underfeeding tomatoes because the lavender prefers it dry. Just one hose loop per zone, once a week. Efficient, intentional, and peaceful. Gardening doesn't have to mean constant hustle. With the right plants and a weekly rhythm, you can have a lush, fragrant, and productive space that feels more like a retreat than a responsibility. And here's the best part. These plants don't just survive. They thrive when you give them space, depth, and just enough attention. Your turn. What's your favorite easy care plant? Drop it in the comments, and let's build a community garden of ideas together. Up next, Grace's full garden layout and how she sets up her watering zones. No fancy tools required. How she actually waters. Grace doesn't rush. She waters like she's setting a table for friends, slow, intentional, and full of care. Because to her, gardening isn't a race. It's a rhythm. Let's walk through exactly how she waters her thriving backyard. Once a week, and why it works so beautifully. 1. She waters early in the morning. Every Saturday, just after sunrise, Grace steps out with her wide-brimmed hat and a warm cup of coffee. The sun is low, the air is still, and the plants are just waking up. Why morning? Because it gives the water time to soak in before the heat of the day evaporates it. And because early watering helps prevent mold, mildew, and pests that thrive on overnight moisture. The garden and I wake up together, Grace says. It's peaceful, no noise, just me and the soil. 2. She uses a slow trickle, not a splash. Most people blast their plants with a hose and call it done. Not Grace. She knows the secret isn't more water, it's deeper water. She uses 2 simple methods to make sure her soil drinks deeply. Soaker hoses. These lay flat along her flower beds and veggie rows, gently releasing water at the root zone. No runoff, no puddles, no waste. DIY milk jugs. Grace pokes tiny holes in the bottom of a reused milk jug, fills it, and sets it next to each plant. The water seeps slowly into the soil while she moves on to the next one. Easy, quiet, effective. It may take longer than a quick spray, but the result is stronger roots and less frequent watering overall. Overlay text. Gardening isn't a race. It's a rhythm. 3. She waters deeply and walks away. Grace doesn't linger, second guess, or come back the next day with the hose. She trusts the process. Once the plants have their 1 to 1.5 inches of water, and the mulch is in place to lock it in, she's done for the week. The rest of the time, she watches, smiles, picks a tomato or 2. She's not keeping things alive. She's partnering with nature. And that shift in mindset, from constant tending to confident nurturing, changes everything. Want to try Grace's method? Here's how to start this weekend. Pick your watering day. Early morning works best. Use a soaker hose or DIY jug trickle system. Slow and steady wins. Set a timer or use the tuna-can method to measure your 1-inch soak. Add mulch to seal in the goodness. Step back. Rest. Enjoy your space. Watering isn't just about moisture. It's about mindset. Grace's approach reminds us that ease, beauty, and productivity can go hand in hand, no matter your age, ability, or schedule. What's your watering routine? Share it in the comments. Someone might just adopt your rhythm. Common mistakes to avoid. Even the most seasoned gardeners make mistakes, and that's okay. Grace sure did. In fact, she says her biggest breakthroughs came right after her biggest blunders. You don't have to do it perfectly, she smiles. You just have to pay attention and be kind to yourself along the way. Let's walk through a few common watering mistakes Grace learned the hard way, and how you can avoid them to save your garden and your energy. Mistake number 1, watering a little every day. This might feel like you're being attentive, but it's actually stressing your plants out. Why it doesn't work? Daily light watering only wets the top layer of soil, encouraging shallow roots. Shallow roots dry out quickly, and that means your plants stay weak, needy, and extra vulnerable to heat. Worse still, if done excessively, it can lead to root rot when the roots stay constantly damp and start to decay. Grace's fix: water deeply just once a week. Let the moisture reach down 6 to 8 inches. Your roots will grow stronger, and so will your plants. Mistake number 2, watering in the heat of the day. When the sun is high, the water you pour onto the soil mostly evaporates before it can do any good. Why it's a problem? Not only is it wasteful, but it also leaves your plants thirsty and your effort wasted. In extreme heat, cold water on hot soil can even shock delicate roots. Grace's fix: water early in the morning, just after sunrise. It's cool, calm, and the moisture gets to soak in before the heat kicks up. I like to water while the birds are still singing, she says. Everything's quieter, and the garden thanks me all day. Mistake number 3, skipping the mulch. If you're watering without mulch, you're losing water faster than you think. Why it hurts? Without mulch, the sun bakes the soil, pulling moisture up and out. It leaves the top dry, cracked, and dusty, and your plants stressed. Grace's fix: cover the soil with 2 to 3 inches of mulch, shredded leaves, straw, even old newspaper. It locks in moisture, keeps the soil cool, and cuts your watering needs in half. Grace's golden rule: the soil should be damp below the surface, not soggy on top. That simple wisdom guides everything she does. If the top looks dry, don't panic. Stick your finger into the soil an inch or 2. If it feels moist underneath, you're good. If it's bone dry, time for that deep, slow soak. Mistakes don't make you a bad gardener. They make you a better one. The goal isn't perfection. It's progress. And with a few small shifts, you can have a garden that flourishes on less water, less stress, and a whole lot more joy. Have you made any of these mistakes before? Share your lessons in the comments. Grace believes, we all learn best when we learn together. Takeaway checklist. Let's recap what Grace taught us. Not with overwhelm, but with ease. Because gardening, like life, is better when it's simple, steady, and soul-soothing. You don't need fancy tools. You don't need to be out in the sun every single day. You just need to build a rhythm that works for you and your plants. So here it is, your weekly watering routine, Grace style. Water deeply, once a week. Give your plants one solid soak, not a splash here and there. 1 to 1.5 inches of water gets deep into the root zone, encouraging strength and resilience. Skip the daily hustle. 1 day of care equals 7 days of growth. Use mulch. Cover the soil with 2 to 3 inches of mulch, shredded leaves, straw, old newspaper, whatever you have. Mulch keeps moisture in, weeds out, and your soil cool and happy. It's like a cozy blanket for your garden beds. Choose drought-resistant plants. Grace's go-to favorites. Herbs, rosemary, sage, thyme. Veggies, okra, peppers. Flowers, marigolds, lavender, zinnias. These tough beauties thrive on less water with more reward. Water slowly in the early morning. Set the tone for the day. Water when the sun is gentle, the air is calm, and your garden can absorb every drop. Use soaker hoses, watering wands. Or Grace's favorite, a milk jug with tiny holes for a slow, steady trickle. Early watering equals less evaporation plus fewer pests. Avoid daily sprinkles. It might feel nurturing, but daily sprinkles only feed the surface, not the roots. They also waste water, weaken plants, and invite disease. Trade quick fixes for deep results. Your garden will be stronger, and so will your peace of mind. Grace's favorite saying, you don't need to work harder, just smarter. This isn't about doing more. It's about doing the right things at the right time with confidence and care. So now it's your turn. Screenshot this checklist and keep it near your hose or watering can. Share your own garden rhythm in the comments. Someone else might learn from your story. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more senior smart garden tips from the Evergreen Seniors.